And we are back. Everybody, we are on the last few days of 2025. How has everybody's holiday been so far? I hope it has been phenomenal, and we are here again because I wanted to just let you know something. Little random fun fact, but here's a wild neuroscience fact, guys, on a beautiful last few days of December right before the New Year's kicks in. Guess what? Your brain is more likely to revive old emotional relationships during the holidays because memory and emotion share overlapping real estate in the brain. All right? This is what we're getting into this week. Specifically the hippocampus and the amygdala. For those of you who aren't brain nerds like I am and like my beautiful partner here on the other end, Yoshie, is the hippocampus and the amygdala. So when nostalgia gets activated, your brain literally lowers its threat detection and critical thinking filters. So basically, let's say that text from your ex, that sudden urge to reconnect with your problematic aunt, you didn't manifest this little time at the end of the year. Your brain basically just smelled the cinnamon and went feral. But no, really, in all seriousness, the warm and fuzzy memories that you're feeling when you think about these people during the good old day memory revisiting that usually happens around this time of year, it's not that reality that you're thinking, all right? It's just your brain overlapping your amygdala, and that's your threat detection part of your brain with your hippocampus. And what's the hippocampus part of the brain? It's your organizer. So your threat detector and your organizer are crossing paths here when you're having this nostalgic moment or when somebody kind of lurks in at this time of year to give you a little, hey, Merry Christmas, tap, tap. Are you still there? You still interested? And then your brain is like, wait a minute. It decides what happened and it stares at the memory so you can recall it later. And that amygdala is that emotional highlighter, right? It tags the memories with feelings of happiness, excitement, or fear, or calm. So when something good happens, the amygdala sends this, whoop, this matters. Oh, pay attention to this person, signal to help the hippocampus store the memory. So when something bad happens, the amygdala still reacts, and if it's too intense of a memory, the hippocampus becomes overwhelmed, which is why these memories can be fuzzy or distorted. So basically what I'm telling you guys is that if somebody comes into your life around this time of year especially, and you're having a moment of, oh my gosh, did I manifest them? Maybe this is meant to be. Maybe I need to revisit this relationship because maybe this is all sort of coming all together. Maybe this is the universe talking to me that I have to make amends with this person and give them another chance. Oh, hold on. Maybe not. Maybe it's your threat detector in your brain overlapping with your organizer in your brain. And if your organizer gets too overwhelmed, everything gets a little fuzzy, and everything's going to be sort of that nostalgic, fuzzy memory of, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe it wasn't that bad. And why do they come back, huh? Why do these folks end up coming back? Well, guess what? Around this time of year especially, that holiday glitter effect that I'm going to call it, right? That everything is sort of laced with sugar plum fairies, and we want that beautiful nostalgia, and we want all of the warmth and the coziness. And so if somebody comes back, we give them another chance, especially around this time of the year. Well, guess what, guys? The holidays activate my favorite, the DMN, that default mode network. That's a part of your brain that triggers that reflection, that memory, that meaning making. It triggers the nostalgia loop, guys. It triggers selective memory. So maybe we forget what jerks they used to be. Maybe we're remembering all the old and warm and fuzzy feelings because we're reflecting. That default mode network is really full on in effect during the holidays. And that's it. Our brains are meant to do that. We do it because familiarity feels safer than uncertainty, doesn't it? And familiar doesn't mean healthy, but your nervous system just prefers known terrain. It's basically that saying of the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, right? And I've got a story for you, actually. I'm still laughing about it, and I'm hoping you will too, because it's a good one. There's a guy, and then mind you, for those of you who don't know me, I'm single. I'm not married, and I'm open. I'm open to finding love. I'm open to finding my person. And a couple months ago, not even a couple months ago, there was a guy. He came back into my life. He DM'd me, slid into the DMs, as the kids say these days. And mind you, I'd known him probably about 13 years ago, and we used to work together. He was always a flirt, but back then, I remember him as kind of, all talk, no action, and sort of silly, harmless, but nothing, he never really pulled that trigger to ask me out, right? So I thought he was kind of cute, but a little bit lame, just because he never really did anything about it, but harmless, right? But I thought he was kind of cute and kind of a sweetheart. Anyway, he moved, and I had long since forgotten about him. And about a month or so ago, I get this message from him. Hey, beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, this guy. And immediately I smiled, right? I had this idea that, okay, I remember him fondly. I remember him as a little silly. And now he comes back, and I have to admit, I kind of had a crush on him before. And I thought, well, guess what? My first thought was, all right, around Thanksgiving, maybe the holidays are opening him up again. Maybe he's realizing what he missed out on. Maybe he's coming back as a changed, grown-up man, right? And so he says, well, I'm in real estate now, and I'm doing this and that. And okay, sounds pretty good. And I was taking the bait. And then I sort of said, well, why don't you call me one of these days? And he said, okay, I will, but he started getting really erratic with his texts. Couldn't form a real text message, I was noticing. Punctuation was off, really low effort. I mean, real low effort. Almost no effort, right? And we go back and forth, and I'm kind of having these sort of memories of thinking, my God, this guy hasn't really changed much, has he? And needless to say, I started questioning him and saying, hey, if you were interested in me, and he said he was, he said he'd had a crush on me for the last 15 years, said, well, then why don't you call? And here's what I started thinking was pretty funny. Then he said, well, if I called you, real men call, and I'm a man. All caps, he spells it out, M-A-N, man. I'm a man. Real men would call, so I'm a man. I said, well then, good thing you know my number. I'll be waiting for you, man. M-A-N, all caps. Guess what? The phone never rang. The man didn't call. The funny thing is, he kept texting, and this is what he kept texting. No joke. No full sentences. He said, come, now, it's time. I'm sorry. What? What does that mean? I don't speak Neanderthal. And I told him that, and he said, I'm a man. Okay, now, all right, guys, this was his language, his version, his strange lingo of saying I should come out and visit him. That was his effort. That was as much effort as he put in. All right? Come, now, it's time. Period. No, I don't think he even gave me a period. And I just sat there and I started cracking up. This guy was a toolbox. And literally telling me this is what a man is, and he's not even following his own instructions for what he thinks a man is. I can't take someone like that personally, right? And the thing is, I started cracking up because I realized, oh my God, I had expected him to show up as a mature, more evolved version of himself, right? I kind of thought for a moment here, the holidays came, Well, I was ready and open to receive a relationship. Maybe this is the one. Maybe he wasn't ready 13 years ago, and maybe somehow the stars aligned. And guess what? He's worse than he was a decade ago. He devolved. He devolved. And here he is lurking in my DMs, coming kind of trying to be cute, and he's the most Neanderthal human that I have ever encountered. And so the joke is, and the funny part is, old relationships, they often appear at these threshold moments, right? And mind you, I've done a ton of growing this year. This year has been brutal. And not just for me, for all of us, right? It's been a brutal year. It's been tough. But this is when we are oddly open to having these folks come in. End of the year, identity transitions, emotionally vulnerable windows. This is that time of year. Not that we're trying to manifest all the creeps coming back, but we're manifesting our vulnerability because that is what this time of year is, right? It's nostalgic. It's hopeful. We're wrapping up a year. We're also looking to a new year. We want things to look good. We're trying to forgive a lot of the times, right? It's a heavy emotional time. And so your brain, my brain, at this time of the year was looking for closure, was looking for validation, and was looking for proof of growth. But I don't need them. I don't need him to confirm my evolution, right? I don't. He was that beautiful reminder that, oh my gosh, wow, my expectation is where my disappointment lives. I was expecting him to show up differently. I was hoping and expecting, wait, how could somebody not mature after over a decade, right? But expectations are predictive models, guys. And they're created, again, I'm going to nerd out here, in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and that's where decision-making happens. And when reality doesn't match the prediction, it's gonna hurt. And so when we're expecting these people who come back into our lives to come correct for once, whether it be somebody we might have thought maybe we'd have a chance with, or maybe it's your uncle or aunt, or maybe it's your parent or sibling, if we're expecting them to come correct and they don't, we get the emotional pain point. And we don't need that. We don't want that. We don't deserve that. So I'm going to give you guys a tool, and it's something I used on myself because I have to admit, this kind of hurt a bit, right? I was disappointed because my expectations didn't match the reality. And so at the end of the year, when I was open and thinking, wow, maybe I'll start this new year with a new love, right? Oh, what a silly little mistake that I made because my expectations were not based in reality, right? My expectations were based in something that I was hopeful for. And so I'm gonna share with you guys here the data, not drama filter, okay? Before engaging, and this is work I did myself in the last couple weeks. Before engaging, I had to ask, what data do I actually have about who this person is now? I didn't have any data. I was just going on my hope, right? What am I hoping they'll be? Well, I'm open for a relationship, right? I'm ready for that void to be filled. So I was hoping this person would be it. It doesn't mean that he was. It doesn't mean that that was who he played the part in anyway, right? His role was to wake me up, not to be that guy. And another thing, which version am I reacting to? Am I reacting to him 13 years ago, or am I reacting to my own disappointment today? Right? So if they've disappeared on you for 10, 20 years, believing that this year will be different is not optimism, guys. It's just bad math. The math ain't mathing. And so this is where boundaries come in. Beautiful boundaries. Boundaries are not punishment. They're energy management strategies. And so that neuro-backed reframe is looking at this whole situation, and you can take my story as an example because, man, I do. Boundaries reduce that threat detection activation, and they conserve executive function. So when I put up a boundary that this guy is coming back into my life and I say, no, wait a minute, he hasn't changed at all. I don't need this. That gives me less reactivity, and that gives me more choice, right? It's not about him. It's not about him. So disappointment creates a prediction error in the brain. Prediction error is this. Disappointment isn't failure. It's your brain updating your operating system. Disappointment is not failure. It's your brain updating its operating system. So if somebody comes back and you're hopeful that this time it's going to be different, that man is really coming in with an all capital M-A-N, and he ain't coming in with even a lowercase M-A-N, he's coming in as an L-A-M-E, lame. That's just me realizing that, wow, I've grown because I'm recognizing this now. Disappointment isn't failure. It's my brain telling me that, wow, my standards have changed now. I've moved. I've evolved. So instead of why are they like this, I don't care about him. I'm asking myself, what clarity did this give me? What no longer requires my emotional labor? What am I finally done negotiating with? I'm not negotiating with half-assed effort anymore. Be it my parents, be it my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my best friends, my neighbors, or the random man that comes in every decade or so, right? I'm not negotiating with that anymore. This is identity consolidation. It's not loss. It's telling me where I've grown and who I've become, right? And number one effort that I have put into regulating this, and the thing that brought me the most clarity this holiday, especially with this experience, you guys, it's humor. Humor is regulation. It's not avoiding. It's not avoidance. This story was frickin' funny because he had such little self-awareness that he really thought, this poor guy really thought he was coming correct and he was coming as a stand-up comedy act. So laughter engages the vagus nerve. It reduces cortisol. It restores perspective. So this internal humor is not self-betrayal, you guys. It's, oh boy, yes, this again energy, and you don't have to villainize them or yourself. You can just move on and you can just opt out. This person gave me a good end of the year laugh, and that's all it's going to be. And now it actually reminds me, my goodness, my discernment has increased tenfold this year. My capacity to trust myself has increased tenfold this year. I have grown emotionally 1,000,000 times over this year because now, instead of being so sad about this guy is not it, another one bites the dust, I'll never find love, yada yada, no, none of it. I didn't entertain any of that. I had a great laugh and I pat myself on the back saying, holy cow, Steph, you really have grown this year. So this season doesn't test your healing, it reveals it. And this is what I love about end of the year experiences. These moments reveal where we've grown and where we can celebrate ourselves. So consider this, guys. Who no longer needs front row access to your nervous system? What disappointment actually freed you this year? What version of yourself are you protecting in the new year that people just don't get access to anymore? Take one interaction this season as data, not a referendum on your worth, okay? Let disappointment inform you, not define you. And I'm going to give you one really, really cool exercise. And again, this is all really meant to send you so much love in the last few days of the year so we can launch ourselves into 2026 and start with the power of the pause, okay? Here's one thing I want you to remember as we close out this year. Just because someone shows up at your door this holiday season or in your inbox or in your nervous system, it doesn't mean you have to open anything up to them. Presence is not permission. Let that land. They can show up, but they do not have permission to invade your nervous system. So here's the 3-question pause. This is neuroscience backed, and you don't even need a journal to do it. When someone from your past resurfaces, before you react, respond, or emotionally go back in time and think of the warm and fuzzies that they might have brought you 10, 20 years ago, step into your future right now, step into the present, and I want you to give yourself a pause. Not to be polite, but to be powerful. Name the body, regulation first, we know this. What's happening in your body right now? Take stock of that. Is your chest tight? Is your stomach heavy? How do you feel? And why this works? It's because naming the sensation shifts your activity from that amygdala threat to that decision-making part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex. And you're literally turning your thinking brain back on, telling yourself your body knows before your brain starts making excuses. Okay? Trust your body. Step 2, separate memory from reality. Ask yourself, am I reacting to who they are today or who they used to be to me yesterday? All right? And laugh about it. It doesn't have to be a deep, big thing. Laugh about it. Nostalgia doesn't have to be so harsh, okay? But I'll tell you this, nostalgia is one hell of a drug, and it ain't FDA approved. Be careful with it. It can get out of control if you let it. So who are you reacting to? Who they are today when they show up, or who they used to be to you? And this step breaks your emotional time travel. It restores your adult perspective. It brings you back into the reality of who you are today, because that's the important thing. And it interrupts old attachment loops, okay? Because we know attachment is what our body and brains want. Even if it's not real, even if it's not real today, we try to latch onto it from yesterday, and that might not be true, okay? So interrupt that attachment loop and restore your adult perspective, because that's where you grow from. That's where you did your growth this year. You've already done it. And step 3, reclaim power with one simple question. Ask yourself, what version of myself am I responsible for protecting now? Not what's kind, what's fair, what are they going to think? It's not about them. They didn't jump back into your orbit just because, and frankly, it doesn't matter. You're what matters. So think of yourself as, who do I become if I let them back in? That question alone is discernment, not avoidance, okay? Who are you in all of this? Be discerning. Let 2026 be your year of discernment. And letting someone stay in the past doesn't mean you're cold. It means your nervous system has matured. You can forgive without re-inviting, because healing doesn't require access. You give yourself permission without the guilt, okay? And as a New Year's send-off, I'm going to tell you, some people are like old apps, right? They made sense at the time, but now they can just drain your battery and slow everything down. Discern. Who are you taking into 2026? And as you step into the new year, remember this. Your power isn't in being available, it's in being intentional. You're not here to repeat old cycles. You're here to complete them. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is leave the past where it belongs. So not everyone who reappears is meant to re-enter. Some are just reminders of how far you've actually come. So go and peel that onion, folks. You've come further than you could ever imagine this year. You don't have to let the past seep in. And some of them are just reminders of how far you've actually come. So on behalf of my co-pilot here, Yoshie, and myself, we wish you all an absolute beautiful 2026. We will be back next week for our first episode of the new year with a special guest who's really going to double down on what this all means in terms of a beautiful and successful and abundant 2026 for all of us. Well, we'll leave all the weirdos in the past, right? And we step into our future. Thank you all so much for listening to The Raw Onion. And now go peel back those layers. We'll see you next week.